We finally have the Elixir Golem deck. I wanted to come out with this right before the card releases along with the challenge. So hopefully this is helpful in preparing you for the challenge. The Elixir Golem is a 3 elixir tank that only targets buildings. His first phase is a large, slow-moving tank with 1408 health and 211 damage. He does have a short range and slow hit speed of 2 seconds, giving him 105 DPS. He breaks down into 2 Golemites, and that'll have 708 hit points and 105 damage, exactly half the health and damage of the big Golem. Because the 2 Golemites are smaller, they'll have a medium move speed with a bit of a faster attack speed of 1.5 seconds. This will give each Golemite 70 DPS each, for a total of 140 DPS for the Golemites combined. Once you eliminate each Golemite, he'll break down into 2 elixir blobs, which once again have half the health and damage of the Golemites. 352 hit points and 52 damage, having 4 blobs with an even faster hit speed of 1 second, with 4 blobs dealing 208 DPS. An elixir golem will destroy your princess tower left undefended and then do massive amounts of damage to your king tower as well. So even though it's 3 elixir, you absolutely cannot ignore this. Each phase has 1408 hit points, which is exactly the same amount of health as a Hog Rider. The total amount of health for all 3 phases Oh, I got a board now. All right, we're in the whole town now. We made it. Where was that? Oh, the total amount of health adds up to 4,224 hit points. This is as much as an 8 elixir golem. Sounds a bit overpowered, right? But here's the catch. Once your opponent eliminates each blob, they'll gain 1 elixir for a total of 4 elixir. This is kind of the definition of a negative elixir trade, but the point of this strange card is to give it a golem's worth of health for cheap to do as much damage as possible, forcing your opponent to use more elixir to defend. It's really interesting. The more support units you take out with yours, while their defending is going to be much less of a counter push. Remember, they only get the elixir after the 4 small blobs are destroyed, giving you plenty of time to do massive amount of damage to both of their towers and the supporting units. The Elixir Golem works similar to the Skeleton Barrel and the Lava Hound, where once it's destroyed, units will target the next closest unit as if it doesn't exist for the split second that it kind of splits up. Golemites will tank their own blobs if there's no other support units in the range. Even though the Elixir Golem is super tanky in terms of health, using it as a meat shield on your side of the arena should be used as a last resort, because eliminating it early is going to give your opponent elixir to keep the pressure on. Never ever use it to defend as a meat shield. It's not an ice golem. Using the Elixir Golem to kite into counter push is a deadly combination, because the Elixir Golem itself is quite slow and also weak in terms of hit points in the first phase. It can be defended really early with almost any unit without taking any damage from the tower. Once it starts breaking into the second and third phase, that's when it gets way more difficult to contain. Both Inferno Tower and Inferno Dragon will have a difficult time defending all of the blobs because of their charging time and the sheer amount of blobs. And let's face it, the 3 Elixir Golem isn't coming alone. The best unit to defend the Elixir Golem are projectile splash units like the Executioner or even the Bowler. Try to line up the blobs in one go so the axe and the boulder hits them all in one straight line. You gotta angle the Bowler just right or you're gonna have a bad time. Pairing Splasher units with a Tornado will also defend it quite well. Splashnado always counters beatdown. Swarmies do a really good job at stopping the Elixir Golem, especially Skarmy. The Elixir Golem doesn't have any death damage, so Skarmy can take it out with their high DPS, but don't count on them to defend it alone and expect to be zapped or poisoned. In order to defend the Elixir Golem, you'll want to have a building. This will pull the Elixir Golem towards the middle and give them much more time to defend off the Elixir Golem. Without having a building, defending the Elixir Golem without damage is very difficult. Using the Fisherman to pull him towards the King Tower is going to result in massive amounts of damage as well. You could probably pull this off once if you're going to leave your towers to take care of it alone. Using single heavy hitters like the P.E.K.K.A. to defend the Elixir Golem is going to result in more damage on your tower than a faster tank killer like a Lumberjack. The blobs are just way too fast and tanky for the P.E.K.K.A. to take out in one shot. Splash units are absolutely your best bet to stop the Elixir Golem. You're going to want to create a deck that is good in offense, but even better on defense because of the 4 elixir that you're going to give your opponent. They'll have a really big push that you need to manage and defend later on. You basically want to deal more damage on your push with your Elixir Golem than they do when they finish defending it off and go on for the counter attack. If you're going to be using any spells on the Elixir Golem, you'll want to use it on the blob, since they're the most dangerous in that form. And they have low hit points like Swarmy, so you're going to get value with your spells. You cannot pull the Elixir Golem towards your King Tower. He's just simply too heavy and slow to be pulled. You're going to want to wait until they're in the Golemite phase to pull them if you really must. One of the best defensive buildings is the bomb tower. This is going to completely stop the Elixir Golem from connecting to your Princess Tower, and it's going to manage the support units behind Elixir Golem. The log does a great job bringing down the blobs down to 112 health. This is low enough for most units to take out in one shot, and even better if you have a splasher. The Elixir Golem is such a unique card. You can treat it as an Ice Golem on offense to counterattack because of its low elixir cost, but defending it is as scary as defending a Golem. Because the Elixir Golem offers so much health for so little elixir. We found it works really well in balloon decks, graveyard decks, even expo decks, anything that you can kind of counterattack as well. Once again, we want to make decks that you can defend well because the elixir blobs give off 4 elixir for a massive counter push. In our first impressions video, we replaced the Hog Rider in the 2.6 Hog, but replaced it with the Elixir Golem. This gives the deck a 2-prong attack, and you can even tank your Hog using the Elixir Golem. And we all know you can defend almost anything with Musketeer, Skeletons, Cannon, and the Ice Golem, but in this case, the Elixir Golem, but you're not defending with it. The Elixir Golem can replace both small tanks like the Ice Golem and major tanks such as the Giant or even the Golem in most decks. It does kind of even out in terms of elixir. You just have to ride out that wave and defend theirs even better. Overall, I love this new mechanic. It changed elixir counting and puts your opponent on their toes while forcing you to defend a massive wave.